What's up, guys? Thanks for stopping back in. This is the Michigan State versus Purdue preview. Um, just going over some things before the game tomorrow night. We'll be in attendance for that in hopes that there's another turnout for the Boilers, similar to the way we just played against the Hoosiers. Um, Big matchup, right? Big matchup between coaches. We got Izzo and Painter. I myself am not an Izzo fan. I'm just not a fan, and um, a lot of a lot of takeaways that for this game that can dictate either side. Pretty heavy in the front court on what will dictate this game, in my opinion. You look at Michigan State and Carson Cooper and Jackson Kohler. Um, Jackson Kohler averages 9.3 rebounds per game, and Carson Cooper 7.4. This game is going to come down to rebounding, in my opinion. This is a game where Clough has to show up and be in positioning and come down with second chance opportunities. If we look in the last stretch of, I believe it's 5 games, we have been one of the best defensive rebounding teams in the country, and when we do that, good things happen. So yeah, this is gonna be a front court matchup between those guys. Jackson Kohler is a good player, as long with Carson Cooper as well. Um, these past few games we haven't seen a whole lot of scoring from Clough. Um, Interesting to see how that goes. But obviously, the talk of the night is going to be Jeremy Fears versus Braden Smith. And I like this matchup. I'm very glad that I have the opportunity to go and watch this game. It's going to be a very fun game in hopes that the big three for us continues to play the way that they did against Indiana. Um, just a very efficient game. Looking at this, though, also um, for us to have a great game, I want to see our bench come alive. Obviously, Omer had a big game against Indiana, but I really want to see some of these other guys get going, like Benter and DJ. I know they have played a lot less in these last few games, so I'm interested to see how that goes, especially with DJ. Um, with this front court, I'm interested to see what they do on this matchup because we have gone small at times. Um, we have gone small and played Benter more, but Benter has not been playing a whole lot recently. We've just been seeing a lot more of Trey, and I don't think you can complain about that. Trey's been playing very well, so um, naturally we just got to keep feeding him the ball. Um, as far as you know, the offensive game plan, I'm not quite sure that that's what we're looking for. If you look at the Michigan game, you wouldn't think that it was a feed it inside type game. It looked like it was going to be more of a shoot from outside type game, with them having Merez, Mara, um, Lendenborg. Obviously, it looks like it's hard to score inside. They just have such an advantage on that aspect. Um, and that's kind of what it looks like again here with Carson Cooper and Jackson Kohler. Carson Cooper is a very good defender inside, and Kohler is a good rebounder, similar to Trey. Uh, I guess different styles of rebounding, if you want to say that. Jackson Kohler is more of a positions guy, and same with Cooper. Being in the right spot, and Trey is more of a fly around, beat you around, get to the rebound. But nonetheless, all three of them very good rebounders. So, in my opinion, the biggest key of this game is going to be rebounding. That's going to dictate the game. But it's going to be a fun matchup. It's going to be a fun game. Um, Michigan State's not going to come in and just roll over, and I think it's on Purdue to come out and play with the intensity as they did against the Hoosiers. They got to come out um, punching. We have had such better success when we come out throwing the first punch. We came against the Hoosiers. It was 10-3 at one point at the first time out, I believe. And if we come out with that intensity, come out with that aggression, and keep that the whole game, because there has been times this season where, we do throw the first punch, but the second half starts slow or something. We have to have these games where, especially these big games like this is the biggest game the rest of the season, um, of coming out strong and staying strong the whole game. And we saw that against the Hoosiers, and I think that definitely has to happen in this matchup. Like I said, obviously the talk of the night is going to be Jeremy Fears and Braden Smith. Both of them in the race for Big Ten Player of the Year. Both of them great facilitators. Jeremy Fears is not a shooter, right? He's under 30% from three. So I think to stop him, we have to force him into jump shots. I've said multiple different times this season, we hedge ball screens and we hedge with two people a lot of times. Um, you're definitely gonna see less of this when he has the ball. Michigan State in a whole is not a 3-point shooting team. I was listening to a podcast today, the Running Point podcast on Sleepers Media with Braden Smith, and there's a statistic that part of it I think is just because our rotations can be bad, but also Purdue has been the team to beat these last few years. The statistic on 3-point shooting on other opposing teams when they play Purdue is up by like 10%, I believe, than their season average. Right, Michigan, I'm sorry, shot 57% from three against us, and that was like 10 above their season average, or I think it was like 14 actually. Um, I'm not sure how likely that is for this team. You look across the boards, and you've got a lot of um, uh, under 30% 3-point shooters. With Jeremy Fears being their best player, he averages 15 points a game, and a lot of that is getting to the line and just getting downhill. I think this matchup is going to be for CJ. I would be very surprised if we put Braden on him. Obviously, we do have a lot of switching in our defense, so it is likely that he gets put on him at some point. But I think this is a matchup for CJ. Continue to allow CJ to prove his ability to guard, and this is a great matchup for him, as Fears is very quick. He's very good at just getting downhill and attacking the basket. Just love the matchup, and hopes that CJ can put on a clinic for us defensively. Um, but not only do we want to take him away from scoring, we don't want to allow him to facilitate. I think in this game you do say make the others beat you and not let Jeremy Fears, because he is capable of just going off. I think he has a 40-point game this season. I could be wrong on that. I know he's had multiple games where he's just popped off. Let me see. Not a 40-point game, but I was wrong. I apologize. 31 is his highest scoring game, but he is capable of just attacking the back, and that was against Michigan, right? So, one of the best defenses in the Big Ten, or the best defense in the Big Ten, one of the best defenses in college basketball. He's very capable of getting downhill and just scoring, and our defense has struggled not recently, but this year. So another takeaway for that is our defense has to continue playing the way they have. We've actually gone up on KenPom for our defensive rating. We've gone up to 23. I know at some point this season it has been down in like the 40s. So great to see that back up to where, obviously we want to see that get as high as possible. but great to see that back up. I think this, like I said, it's going to come down to rebounding, but on top of it, it's just like our offense has never been the reason we've lost games. Obviously, there's been games that we've missed shots, but when you look at offense, sorry, I cannot speak. When we look at offense, you dictate not just like made shots, but you're looking at the quality of shots. And if you watch this season, I don't think that's ever been an issue. Like, I don't think we've been forced to take terrible shots this year. In any of our losses, I think it's just been missing shots. When this team is clicking offensively, it's a scary team, right? As a team, we shoot 38% from three. We've got two guys shooting over 40. Fletch is back up to 40%, which if you look at, his previous February, or not February, January, where he had a slump, it's very impressive to see him back up at 40 and Braden shooting 41.2. But I think offensively you're going to see us rely on those three a whole lot more, similar to where we did last year. I think that, our offense is best when we play that two-man game with Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn because it opens the floor up for Fletcher. I think Fletcher is at his best when he just has to be open and Braden finds him, or he does a great job of getting himself open off the run. He's not somebody that's shooting step back threes, stuff like that. But he's at his best when he's not creating for himself and somebody else is creating for him, and getting open shots. And I think that is something that hopefully we'll see in this game. Um, I don't see it as a inside game, but I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong because you wouldn't have thought that the Michigan game was going to be a force it inside score type game, and it ended up being from Trey obviously. So I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to go to Trey. But if you look at last game, he had 5 assists. Right, he's a very capable passer out of the post. And I think Clough is as well. I don't obviously his assist number is not as high as 1.7, but he is very capable of passing out of the post as well. Um, yeah, I think that if they do go that route and they do play inside ball, you're going to see a lot of kickouts, and it's going to rely on guys making shots. But I know that the atmosphere of last game, and obviously it was a rivalry game, but the atmosphere last game was a lot better than it had been in these previous, in this season of home games. And if that atmosphere continues, and if this intensity from the Boilers straight out the jump comes out the way that I think it is, because I truly do. I truly do believe that this team has flipped a switch and they're in attack mode. And I think they're a different team than what they had been earlier on in the season. And I think that they are ready to take down anybody who stands in front of them. And I love the way that this team is looking, firing on all cylinders. I think they have started to figure out defense rotations better. I don't think that we've got personnel to be a great defensive team, but when you can't be a great defensive team, you just gotta know where to be. I do believe that we've done a much better job of being in the right spot in hopes that that continues. Um, I did say it a little bit. I am interested to see how much Daniel plays in this game. His minutes have gone down over the past few games, um, as he has had an I don't want to say a bad year. He's a freshman. He's definitely learning. He has a lot of potential. But there's been some times where I just think he's in the wrong spot. And I'm interested to see how much he plays, given their front court. Um, shoot. Yeah. So rebounding wise, they do have the advantage, as in their rebounds per game. They average 41.1 to our 36.4. It is going to be interesting, though. I do believe that they're going to put Jackson Kohler on Clough, and they'll put um, Carson Cooper on Trey, just because Carson Cooper he's got more length. I do believe that he's the better defender of the two. Carson Cooper is listed at 6'11", and obviously Trey is 6'9". but I do believe that he's just the better defender of the two. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get put opposite of each other. And if that happens, I like that matchup. I do believe that Trey can take an advantage of that and can have his way and score. But more off of that, I think it puts Clough in a good position. Um, Jackson Kohler is 6'9", to Clough being 6'11". So same thing as Cooper on TKR, but I just think it opens up Clough and his ability to rebound, and I think if the rest of the season looks like 6 and 9 from Clough, I think that's a great comp. I think that's a great gift from Clough. That's what I would love to see. Obviously, I want these high rebounding games, and that's what he's here for. But yeah, I just think that a high rebounding rebounds are going to dictate this game. I've already said it, but rebounds are going to dictate this game. And if we continue to rebound the way we have been, it's gonna be great, right? We allowed Indiana one offensive rebound, and part of that, yeah, I mean, just being in the right spot. We had 30 something to their 15. Part of that being on the defensive end for them, we just didn't miss shots, so there's less rebounds for them to get. But if we continue to rebound at this rate, I do have it written down. I don't have the percentage, but we have been a top 3 defensive rebounding team in this past 5 games, I believe it is, and credit to Michigan State. They're a great offensive and defensive rebounding team. It's gonna come down to rebounds. So what else? Yeah, I said CJ on fears. You gotta force him to shoot threes. If he does hit a few, which he has in a few games, that's not his go-to shot. So obviously we're forcing him to shoot that. If he does make some, then it forces us to start stepping out on that instead of going under ball screens. But we got to see him make them before we just attack him as a shooter. The biggest issue that I do see, we have struggled against shooting bigs, right? Jackson Kohler is a very capable shooter. In fact, he is their best shooter on the team outside of Divine, which he went down earlier this season and is no longer playing. So that does put Jackson Kohler as the best as the team's best shooter. And we have had some struggle with some stretch bigs. We don't love to see our bigs outguarding at the perimeter, so I am interested to see what we do in that aspect. I think Trey has done a much better job of being able to guard on the perimeter, so in hopes that it can continue to do that. My biggest thing is sometimes when we guard the perimeter like that, with our bigs, our backside rotation gets weak, and that can't continue to happen. But in hopes that our defensive improvement continues to improve and continues to stay well. Oh shoot! Something for Michigan State. They are last in the Big Ten for turnover ratio, and what that means is they turn the ball over the most in the Big Ten. 18.7% of the time they turn the ball over. They average 11.8 turnovers per game to Purdue's 9.1. If we can turn this team over, if we can force turnovers, in which you watch these games, we're not a high defensive team. Obviously, I just stated that. But we have, in the Big Ten, surprisingly, we do force the third most turnovers in the Big Ten. If we can force turnovers this game, and it's interesting, a lot of them I think are probably Braden steals, backside cuts and stuff like that. Because we don't play like high pressure defense. But if we can get them to turn the ball over, it's going to be a bad game for them because they can't give us more possessions. If we are winning the rebounding battle, if we're making shots and then they on top of it are turning it over, giving us more possessions is not in their favor due to because we slow the game down, right? We play to our pace, um, and then obviously we do have a few transition opportunities that Fletch hits a trail three, gets us going. That'll just be bad news for them. Another big matchup is Trey and Kohler. Just similar similar players in a way. Besides the fact that Kohler can step out and shoot the three. Yeah, it's gonna be a great game. Gonna be a great game to watch. Very excited to watch this. Matchup wise, um, I think it's a game that I think Jordan Scott will probably start on Braden. He's a longer player. He is 6'7", 190 pounds, and Braden has had a few struggles against some, bigger, longer defenders. But he has stated that he would much rather a bigger guy play against him than a smaller, scrappy guard. So maybe Braden can take that to his advantage. In hopes that he wins this matchup. Obviously, I'm just hoping the whole team has a good game. But I think this is a game that I want to see Braden be a facilitator. Obviously, I want to see him score, but I am so in hope that he breaks this record, and I would love to see him just throw 12 dimes or so against, Jeremy Fears. I said I don't like Izzo. I don't like Jeremy Fears. If you like Jeremy Fears, there's something wrong with you, and I believe that truly. If you watch the way he's played, and it makes sense, it must be something with Michigan State. Draymond Green came from Michigan State, dirty player, known to make some dirty plays. Jeremy Fears doing the same thing, right? Michigan, he had 3 dirty plays, had a technical or a flagrant foul. I think he did it in Minnesota as well, in which they lost that game. And there was another game as well. There are just some obvious plays. I know he kicked somebody in the crotch the other day, right? He just a dirty player. So more than anything, I just want our team to come out of this alive. I don't want any injuries coming to our team. I want a clean game. I want a fun watching game. But yeah, a very fun matchup on the guard side between those two, and then also with the front court. Let me see. Yeah, so Michigan State is coming off of two wins, one against UCLA and the other against Ohio State, in which they didn't play awesome but not terrible either. Cooper was the player of the game there with 20 points and 11 rebounds. So like I said, very capable rebounder. He is not known to go out and score like that all the time, but he is capable of doing that. But I do think this is a game where we can probably contain that a little bit. He averages 10.3 points per game. That might have been one of his better games scoring wise. Yeah, that was his highest scoring game of the season. 7 for 10 from the line, 7 for 10 from the field, with 20 points. His highest game before that was against Oregon with 19. But yeah, as far as Cooper being a scorer, I think we can take that away. A lot of it is Fears and Kohler keeping them out, and then also just some of these other guys around the wing that just get to that dribble pull up and that attack the basket a little bit. Their offense has kind of taken a dip since Devine has been out. But what's something else I can hit on? Yeah, I think this is a game where I just want to see Fletch get 6 threes up, something like that. I want to see a game where we continue to get our shots, and I want to see them continue to fall. We need this riding into March to finish out the season. I would really like to see CJ and Jakari and Jack start to hit shots. They have struggled recently. CJ is down to 35% on the season from behind the arc. Defensively, excuse me, I think he has obviously kept it up. He's been a great defender for us. Um, I'm interested to see what they do with Omer. Right, coming off this big game, I'm interested to see if he continues to um, get his if he gets a lot of minutes this game. I think he is capable of doing that. I know that's a kind of a look into next year of what we're going to see a lot more from him, running the offense and being a scorer. But I do think that that is something that could be very useful to us coming off the bench of that kind of scoring because he is more of a go get it, go me me score, me get ball, me score type player compared to running offense. But yeah, just gonna be a great game. I think this is a great opportunity for us. I think honestly, I think we can make it an ugly game too. If we jump out early, Michigan State is a they do tend to start off slow, and I think if we can jump on them early and then continue to not let up, like in the way that we did against Indiana, um, this is a great game to make a statement win, and I would love to see that happen. Obviously, since I'm watching it in person, but yeah, I'm just very excited to watch this. It's going to be a great matchup. In hopes that our big three continue to play the way they have and to the level that they've been playing. Um, Flip that switch is what they've said, in hopes that that continues. So